ancient and noble art of fly fishing for trout. But actually a rather strange way to try and catch a fish. In fact, it isn't even a terribly good way of catching a trout. You'd catch far more with a good old garden worm, or at least something they might actually eat. But that wouldn't be half as much fun. Fly fishing is about deceiving fish. It's the process that leads up to the catching that is most valued. The attempt to make the trout think that these hooks, intricately decorated with scraps of silk, feather and fur, are living creatures that it wants to eat. Landing a trout is just the icing on the cake. The journey is as important as arriving. Mark Morgan has been trying to deceive Welsh trout with the fly since he was a boy. This is a Welsh upland river, fed by mountain streams. It's full of small brown trout, Britain's native trout. But a river like this is quite a barren environment, and the little invertebrates that trout eat are scarce.
The trout rely a lot on what falls from beautiful trees like this, and I've noticed today quite a few beetles falling from the trees, and I'm going to tie a beetle-like imitation. Now I'm tying a beetle in the age-old manner that the colliers and the slate quarrymen of North Wales used to tie them. It's not going to be like a beetle, of course, because those were dressed by the Almighty, and a man is far short of that. But this peacock herl turned around here will make a body that will suggest to the trout, I hope, that there's a live beetle coming his way. Well, let's see what the fish think of it. Oh, yeah, there he is. A small one, but here he comes. Oh, boy, natty. And what a beautiful little Welsh brown trout, as wild as the wind. And this one could be about 4 years old, and having lived in a harsh environment, who knows what the future holds? It might even go to sea and become a sea trout. And then, when I meet him the next time, heaven help him, because then he'll see the inside of my frying pan. Well, I'll return him to the river and give him his freedom.
This is the River Itchen in Hampshire. A comfortable place to live if you're a trout. There's plenty of food, so they grow much bigger than their Welsh counterparts. These privileged trout have plenty of time to pick and choose what to eat, but they're very hard to deceive. Now that spring has come, all sorts of rare, shy creatures can be seen at the waterside, including the fly fishermen. This is the land of J.R. Hartley. Rivers like this are called chalk streams because they're fed by a stable flow of pure spring water from the surrounding chalk downs. It's the classic trout river, the cradle of fly fishing. Riverkeepers like Ron Holloway are the groundsmen and the umpires of this sport. As well as watching out for poachers and ensuring that fishermen keep to the rules, they have tended these rivers for centuries.
If we go back in time, 1,000 years ago, this river wouldn't be here as we see it today. In fact, the whole floodplain was just one massive oozing bog with a myriad of small little streams braiding its way right the way down to the sea. Man started draining the floodplains by pushing all these little oozing streams into faster flowing channels. This inadvertently has created a trout stream. The river is in superb condition. It looks gorgeous. There's an abundant number of fish here, although if you ask the anglers, they're not easy to catch.
Not easy. Fiendishly hard, more like. Not only can they sense their slightest footfall, they can also spot the fisherman long before the fisherman spots them. Catching such wary wild trout on an artificial fly is challenging enough. But to make it even harder, the rules of the game dictate that only imitations of insects emerging from the water surface can be used. It helps to be an accomplished entomologist. Before you even start fishing, you should work out which of the many insects hatching from the river the trout are actually eating. Chalk stream fishermen carry fly boxes full of imitation insects, what fishermen call dry flies. Each dry fly is a replica of an insect that trout eat at some time of the year. On this river, the imitation should be precise. Today, a touch too yellow, a millimetre too big, and the trout may be suspicious. Selecting the right fly is only half the battle. It must be delicately cast just in front of the fish, so it looks as convincing as possible. The slightest mistake, and the trout wins the game. It's never easy, but in a month, the balance will tip briefly in favour of the angler. For now, they must wait. Mark Morgan is waiting too. The trout he wants to catch have gone to sea.
The beautiful coast of West Wales, the source of the great love of my life, the sea trout. But to us in Wales, it's called the sewin. The sewin is a mysterious creature. He's out there somewhere.
Sea trout are actually a type of brown trout, but they abandon the streams where they were born to seek richer feeding grounds in the sea. Any trout can pull this trick, but only those from the poorest upland rivers are forced to make this annual journey.
Well, it's spring and an important time in the life of a sea trout. He'll be thinking of going back upriver again.
Returning to the wild headwaters of rivers like the Teivi, where the sea trout spawn.
He'll move up like a silver ghost, and nobody will know that he's there at all, except us who angle for him.
But for now, the sea trout are gathering in the estuaries, waiting. And until they decide that the conditions are right, Mark must be patient too. The waiting is almost over on the Hampshire chalk streams, where the big event of the fishing season is about to begin. For Charles Jardine, tying flies has become an art form. Any material you care to mention, from elk hair to wren feather, has at one time been part of the fly tier's palette. Straddlebug, grey wolf, green drake, deer stalker, some of the hundreds of imitations that have been tied over the years, created to represent one insect, the mayfly. Every year, the mayfly hatch provides a banquet that lasts 2 weeks. It's known as Duffer's Fortnight, because trout get into such a frenzy that they become easier to catch. Even the biggest, wariest trout join the feast. This is the time they just might lower their guard, but only for the best imitations. And that's why Charles is here.
Our quest every year is to find that fly that will catch the biggest fish in the river. As soon as you start straying away from the natural world, you start divorcing yourself away from the subject matter. And every now and again, as a fly tyer, I have to go back to nature in order to understand the problems and try and get some idea of what it is I'm imitating. Now, it's often said that you've got to think like a trout, and that is what I hope I try and bring to my designs, is that feeling of the trout seeing it rather than us seeing it.
Trout like to seize the mayfly as it struggles to break free of the water surface. And if Charles can capture the essence of that moment in his imitation, he might be onto something.
I've made some rudimentary sketches of the stage just before adulthood, when it's just about to bloom into life. And I noticed that it was a deep, rich, sort of lovely, drinkable claret colour right by where the wings bursting open. I'm going to recreate that in the vise. In this land of plenty where nature's gone crazy, to be able to just get the edge. I mean, that's basically what we're trying to build in with this creation, is just the edge, the one that the trout that's seen it all suddenly thinks, hang on, this is different.
As the days go by, the mayfly hatch reaches a crescendo. Wave after wave of mayfly nymphs emerge from the riverbed and dash for the surface together in an attempt to escape the hungry mouths that await them.
You can almost feel the drama unfolding in the water, you know, the nymphs clambering up through the layers and then they're popping. It's that beginnings of an orchestra, you know, you hear the baton hitting, and then all of a sudden everything strikes up, and that's what we've got.
Charles is itching to try out his new fly. He's seen a trout rise, and he thinks it's a monster.
And where that stick is, that's where that really big fish is. Now that is a lump. What I'd have to do is creep around and get almost below the level and cast up to it. I mean, it's a lunatic shot. Oh, Jesus. That's a bit... Right.
The trout has chosen its lie well, tucked in under the walkway. One glimpse of Charles could wreck his chances.
Come out, come out. There's a big trick in the book, this thing. Yes. Now that is a big brown trout.
In fact, at 8 pounds, it's the biggest that has ever fallen for one of Charles's imitations. Spring is always a bit later in the Welsh mountains. But a few silver ghosts have begun to steal through the dark pools of the Teivi on their journey home. Of all fish, sea trout are the most unpredictable, the most mysterious. This year they're late. No one knows why. Perhaps the water is too cold or too low. Even the coracle netsmen, combing the pools with nets, draw a blank. Waiting is nothing new for Mark. He has faith that they'll be here in the end.
The old Suin anglers used to say that you fish for the Suin when the foxgloves are in season. They're a bit slow this year, a slow spring, and therefore come mid-July and we'll be in business.
Hampshire in high summer. The chalk stream is at its most beautiful, but in the heat the trout seem to lose their appetite. It's a bad time for fishing. But there are places where trout can still be caught, whatever the weather. This is Diva Springs, one of Britain's most famous fisheries, where large trout are stocked every day. People flock here to catch record-breaking trout. For some, it's the fishing experience of a lifetime. Few of these trout survive long enough to become suspicious of a fisherman's fly. Some traditionalists disapprove. They think this isn't quite playing the game, that here, perhaps, the fishermen are being deceived. But this is big business. As well as brown trout, these lakes are stocked with the fastest growing trout available, the American rainbow trout. Like a breeder of prize cattle, the owner, Nigel Jackson, manipulates the fish's genes in his quest to grow them even larger.
Nice 10-pound brown. There's a bigger one here if you want it. I'll keep it.
This is the Jurassic Pool, where Nigel creates the perfect environment for a few specially chosen trout. Here they achieve super rapid growth.
I have been accused of playing God in the press, and I've even been likened to perhaps Dr. Frankenstein. I think that's a little unfair. We're just creating an environment where the fish can attain their best. It's no different from perhaps a gardener wanting to grow a particularly big marrow. You're much better off if you break the record by a little bit each year, from the viewpoint that people are coming to catch the odd, very special, large record fish, and it allows you to sell all your regular stocking fish at a premium price, because they're trying to catch the big one all the time.
After a year, these trout will have increased in weight from 3 pounds to 30 pounds, or simply as heavy as Nigel wants them to grow.
Make it last 30 years, I would have thought a rainbow would end up about sort of 80 to 85 pounds.
That's more than twice as heavy as the current record.
At the moment, I'm after that elusive, massive fish. It's a nice fish, about 27 pounds. Oh, look, a little grayling. You don't see many of those. Hardly a record. Oh, these are monsters. Oh, I think that's the one we're looking for. Look at the size of that. Let's have that one, Neil.
What a beautiful fish, just look at that. God, you can hardly get it in the net.
One of these fishermen could be about to get very lucky. Round the next bay, Nigel is about to stock the biggest trout that has ever swum in British waters.
I can take the net away. Look at that, that's a really beautiful fish. That represents 3 or 4 years really hard work. It's probably worth about £20,000, and as much as that it could be a new record. Beautiful fish. Must be 37, 38 pounds if ever I've seen a fish. There she goes. God, look at that go.
In the Welsh mountains, rain has been falling, and with the slight rise in water levels, the sea trout are on the move.
Well, the waiting is over at last, and it's been a long wait this year. The foxgloves, Clatchacoon, are in full bloom, and the Sewin are up here. But it's important to remember the sea trout are very much of an unknown quantity. We're not fishing for tame stock trout from a pond. We are looking for something that's totally wild. It's wonderful to think that they come up the Teivi once more.
Knowing they're here is one thing, but catching them is quite another. They're so shy that they're almost impossible to catch by day, but darkness seems to reassure them enough to continue their journey upstream. And that is when Mark has a chance to intercept them with his fly.
It's very important not to start too early, because the sea trout, they tend to work back to the shallows, and then if you start splashing in the shallows, then they're frightened. And a frightened fish will never take. The old Sewin anglers used to say, you wait until the bats start flying.
Mark must work in the dark, relying on his memory of the river to lead him to the fish. He and the fish can only be seen through an infrared camera. Trying to catch these silver ghosts in the dead of night is an intoxicating experience. Mark is so addicted that over the next few weeks, he will hardly sleep. This is a very different sort of deception from catching brown trout. Sea trout don't eat anything during the few months they spend in the river, so the flamboyant flies used are an attempt to remind them of the food they once ate at sea. They take the fly out of aggression or instinct, not hunger. There are no rules here. You can use any sort of fly you want. The choice is often down to a hunch rather than science.
There is a lot of myth about the flies. The important thing is to put it on the fish's nose, know exactly where the fish is, and direct the fly. And then, bang, all of a sudden you hit the jackpot. Of course, there are nights when you don't touch the jackpot, but there it is, you keep on trying, and that, to me, what is Sewin fishing is all about. Going out there and getting that electric moment when you feel that tug. Oh, yeah, there he is, there he is. There you are. In a normal season, I generally keep a few sea trout, I must say I like them. They're good eating. But not this year. They've been in short supply, and all I've caught so far have gone back. Well, there's a lovely place under the trees there. Flies come around a couple of times, and I thought I had it. Ah, yes. Four. It's here. Be very careful with the sewing of all the fish. This is the Houdini of the fish. Oh, a nice fish. Right foot. Oh, well done. Ah, there he is. Always wet your hand before you handle such a precious fish as this. Oh, there is a beautiful fish. He's been upriver a little time, but he's far too valuable to be only caught once now. Then off you go, and good luck. The sea trout has a special place in the hearts of those that angle for it. It's not a sport, it is a religion. We live for it.
Dawn, and the magic is gone, but not forgotten. A couple of silvery sea trout glimpsed in the moonlight. Fulfillment. And that same fulfillment is what counts for Ron Holloway. Despite the allure of hatchery-reared monsters, small but wild brown trout may have something extra to offer.
There's an increasing demand for wild brown trout fishing. I hear this from anglers who have spent loads of money fishing for big stockfish, and they love it. But their fishing experience is the same, day in, day out. And eventually, anglers hate consistency. They look for a better challenge. That challenge that genuine wild brown trout can afford. They're wild, in beautiful, quiet, natural surroundings. What else do they want?
It's hard to play the fly fishing game without falling in love with trout. It can become a passion that lasts for a lifetime, if not beyond.
Nac ofnam y fi fydd yn llithro trwy'r gro, o erddi paradwys I daeddu am dro. Fear not if I steal to your side as of yore, from paradise streams to fish Teifi once more. And if I get to heaven, I'm not sure that I will, but if I do, I'd like to think that I might be allowed to come back and just fish Teifi that once more.
Next week, a journey back in time to half-forgotten lakes of Old England, in the company of angling eccentric Chris Yates, a strange and mysterious trail in pursuit of that most intelligent and uncatchable fish, the carp.